Time now for our Rants and Raves of the Week. Starting with you, Dan.
Well, this is shameless self-promotion.
Okay.
But I want to give a rave for a partnership that the Northeastern School of Journalism has just reached with Fox 25. Mike Bodette, their lead investigative reporter, is also a full-time member of our faculty, and he's going to be leading an investigative reporting class whose students will produce work for Fox 25 on air and the website. This is just, I mean, we're not alone in doing this. This is just another example.
Doesn't Walter Robinson do that?
Well, Walter Robinson went back to the Globe full time.
He used to do it at Northeastern.
So he doesn't do it at Northeastern anymore, but this is kind of the next step for Northeastern. I mean, BU is doing things like this. It's a great model, and we're very excited about it.
So it'll be original investigative?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Overseen by Mike Bodette.
Yeah, good. He's good. All right, Joanna.
So my rave is for the city of New Orleans. I used to work for the Times-Picayune back in the 90s, and so I was as depressed as anyone in 2012 when Newhouse, the owner of that paper, announced that it was going to be laying off a whole lot of staff and cutting back print circulation to, at the time, I think it was going to be 3 or 4 days a week. Everyone thought this was going to be the death knell of journalism in a major American city. Turned out to be wrong, because the Baton Rouge Advocate came in, opened up a New Orleans edition, circulation started growing. When do you hear about that in newspapers? And this week, the Advocate announced that it had surpassed the Times-Picayune in print circulation. New Orleans is now in the middle of a good old-fashioned newspaper war. It's great.
Good for them. All right, Justin, what do you got?
Well, spinning off of newspaper wars, up in Portland, Maine, the people behind Dig Boston decided that they were going to expand the franchise, create Dig Portland a couple of months back. This is around the same time that the Portland Phoenix, one of the last sort of vestiges of the Phoenix Empire, was being sold. And so it seemed like there was going to be a good old-fashioned alternative weekly newspaper war. A lot of the staff from the Phoenix went over to work for Dig Portland, and the Portland Phoenix then sued Dig Portland because of all the staff that was going over, sort of saying that there was a lot of illegal things being done. They were taking advertisers, that the papers were too similar. Now, less than 5 months later, the Portland Phoenix has bought Dig Portland. Dig Portland is going away. They're going to cease publishing it. Who knows what's going to happen with the staff? Who knows if 2 alternative weekly newspapers would have worked there? But it's really unfortunate, because this sort of seemed like it was kind of a cynical thing to do if they really weren't going to be in it for the long term. And it just makes me sad for a lot of the writers who were sort of hoping to work for those papers.
So, yeah, how does the Phoenix do up in Portland, do you know, Dan?
Well, it was not doing well enough for Stephen Mindich to want to hold on to it. But it was doing better than Providence and Boston, which is why he was able to sell it rather than just shutting it down. Portland is potentially a great alternative newspaper city. It's got a very lively arts and culture district. It's got a lot of young people. I don't think you could do something really big there, but it should be the sort of place where the alternative press ought to do reasonably well.
Absolutely.
All right, John, what do you got?
I have a rave for AARP magazine. That's the American Association of Retired People. I'm too young to get that in the mail, but I'm sure my subscription will be coming soon. They've landed a really great scoop, an extensive one-on-one interview with none other than the great Bob Dylan. And while the magazine isn't out yet, but they've released some excerpts. He talks about how he felt the last genuine rock and roll was put out in 1961. He talks about his views on the government and job creation and the responsibility of the rich in our country. Very interesting stuff if you're into Bob Dylan, as I am. How did AARP get the scoop? Dylan sought them out for it. Now, the editor there used to work for Rolling Stone and had dealt with Dylan back there. But he said to Dylan's people, "Are you sure you know I'm not at Rolling Stone anymore?" They say, "Yes, we know." And this, to me, is great, because Bob Dylan is, what, he's got to be in 70.
71, 72.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's identifying where he's fishing where the fish are. He's going where his market is. And, you know, that's...
So, I mean, I don't read the magazine either, but... Do they do journalism as a rule? Do they?
Yeah, they have feature articles. It's not all like, you know, Consumer Reports type stories on adult diapers, Emily. Come on now. You know, there is light.
There's some of that probably.
Well, I imagine there is. Like I say,
journalism.
I'm not a regular reader, but yeah. So I just think it's great, and I think it says to all the aging, doddering baby boomers out there, you are still cool. Can you dig it?
All right. When you say that, you're not cool.
Get off my lawn while you're at it.
Right. And sock it to me, too, as well.
So, well, finally tonight, I have a rave for Peggy Sharon, who, of course, was the children's television advocate. She died yesterday at the age of 86. This is a woman who started, you know, being an advocate for children's programming back in, like, 1960, when everything was just garbage cartoons and monster television and that kind of stuff, and she had daughters who were watching this stuff. And she was diminutive, but she was a lot of fun. We had her on in early days a lot on Greater Boston. She went around, she was a thorn in the side of network executives, of, you know, the FCC, of senators and congressmen, anybody who sat on any kind of a telecommunications commission. She changed the face of broadcasting for children. I mean, PBS had not yet launched Sesame Street. That was in the works when she started doing this, and PBS was heading down the right track, but she was all over PBS too. It wasn't like she was giving them a free ride. And, you know, in terms of what kinds of commercials could be directed to kids during Saturday and Sunday morning television, she really made a difference.
And I met her too. What a dynamic woman. And her life's work should be a case study for young activists everywhere. She was relentless. Ask Ed Markey sometime about how, you know, she just kept knocking on his door and stalking him until he stopped and listened to what she had to say.
But she was also charming. Right? I interviewed her before. I mean, she was a great character because she didn't. She had a great cause and she was passionate about it, but not angry.
No, I know, but she made me nervous. Anytime she called here, she wanted something. Is she after me for something? So.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, that's our show. Tell us what you think. Has Deflategate coverage gone too far? What about Fox News? Weigh in on our website, beatthepress.org. You can also catch up on past episodes or watch any of this show you might have missed.